I normally hate this time of year. After the brief spark of excitement at Christmas, January and February are like December's penniless, repetitive alky uncles. But today, I've had the kind of day I don't want to forget. You know, when you almost feel sad because you can't keep it exactly in your mind down to all the tiniest details, worried that your brain will reflect and misinterpret, erase the moment that changed the colour of the world you inhabit slightly, and you'll forget the thing you realised, the thing that was important to understanding your existence here. I don't know about you, but there was stuff that was just assumed by the world around me from the moment I was born. I mean, I assumed it too. You know, you go to school, get qualifications, get a brilliant job, meet some guy called Gary, get a house, have kids, then, well, I never really imagined beyond that. It's like one of those cheesy romantic films. You never see past the happy ending. You never see actual life happen to them or the eventual death of love. It was just assumed I would end up with a man and have kids. I got swept up in that too. Never even really questioned any other feelings I had. Just looked at them like careless scribblings going over the lines of some colouring in picture. That's why everything in the last year has been a shock. You know when something has been staring you in the face for ages and then it just suddenly punches you square in the mush like, hiya, hello, I'm here. Well, that was Leanne when we met. I was mortified on the number 22 going up Leith Walk, with Amy, my wee girl, having the most mental 2-year-old tantrum ever. Proper screaming, all red in the face, going that purple colour. The bus was packed wall to wall with judgy old ladies tutting like beatboxers as an accompaniment to her screaming. I almost expected the bus driver to start freestyle rapping about how much he hated bairns over the top of it. All of them giving me the evil eye. Nothing I could say would calm her. I was getting that angry way about to greet too. Then, like some bald punk angel, this woman just turned around and made the funniest face at Amy I've ever seen. She somehow managed to tangle up all her features, puff her cheeks out till she looked like a bright red balloon, and then she took her hands and she popped her cheeks. Amy just stopped. I felt the whole bus tense up, waiting to see. And in that way that only 2-year-olds can, she just switched emotional gears and started laughing, tears still streaming out of her eyes. And that was that. Love at first sight. Me and Leanne. I would never have got to have today with my mum and Amy if it wasn't for her. Leanne's dead political. Think it was our second date she took me to a pro-choice rally for Polish women. I'd never seen anything like it. All these women from loads of different places standing together up the centre of town, sharing stories through a megaphone, making all the men walk past them look at their feet. A really old woman, like my granny's age, got up and spoke about how she'd had to have a backstreet abortion when she was a wee lassie, and then was never able to have kids. And she was telling this story beside young women my age still fighting for the same thing. I had tears running down my face, mascara and snot everywhere. And I've been trying so hard to be this cool girl in front of Leanne. But she was just so sound, flung her arms around me and kissed the top of my head. I've never felt weaker than when I was with men. And as a mum, have only felt strength in having to fight for everything myself. Like my mum did. And my granny too. Except women couldn't leave then. That's why it's so mad that my mum hates all this feminist chat. Because I realised she's the first feminist I'd ever met. She's like the head honcho of women's rights, but just in total denial that she's the queen of the F word. That's why I'm so chuffed she came with me, Leanne, and Amy on the march today. I mean, she did initially put up a fight. She's still not totally behind the whole me and Leanne thing, and when she's off work, she always wants to be down her allotment growing things. But she ended up agreeing to come because she'd heard that Trump was going to dig up Michelle Obama's vegetable patch at the White House. Me and Leanne were pissing ourselves at that. The fact he's a rapist, racist, all-around utter evil fuck didn't even get through to her. But when she saw the thing about the vegetable patch, her head pretty much started spinning like the lassie in The Exorcist. She was having none of it. What kind of pathetic wee prick is threatened by cucumbers and a few tatties? She called him all the names under the sun, while I turned purple in the kitchen trying not to laugh out loud. While Leanne made her a sign that said, "Hands off Michelle's tatties." Took the edge off the fact that the kind of guy that would be threatened by a vegetable patch was now the president. So there we were today. The four of us, absolutely Baltic, wrapped up daft in hats, gloves, scarves, apart from Amy, who never feels the cold, only the restriction of clothes. It was one of those proper freezing but sunny days, the first one in ages. The sky looked amazing, defiant in piercing blue. Edinburgh was so beautiful. Walking round to Waterloo Place, looking out across the city. We all stopped there with the old town and Arthur's Seat as a backdrop and took a picture of Amy carrying a big cardboard sign she had made with Leanne. It just said love on it in huge letters and was covered in glitter and Lego stickers. She had this huge grin on her face and her red curly hair was golden in the sun, like a crown for the world she was going to inherit. I was surprised at how heaving it was with people. We'd only seen the post about the Women's March on Facebook the day before. Leanne was all excited that it was happening as a sister march to the huge one in Washington, telling me about how cities all over the world were protesting Trump together. I think she really believes this stuff can make a difference, and it's sort of infectious. She's got a buzz about her. Makes you believe you are important as a human. My mum looked totally shocked too. I think she just thought we were going to be the only people there. When we arrived at Regent Terrace, there were hundreds already in front of us, and then when I turned around, I could see more and more people walking towards us like rising waves. I think we all felt a wee bit awkward at first. It was our first outing as a family. My mum was eyeballing Leanne and her freshly shaved head and the fact that we were holding hands. Leanne was pretending she couldn't see my mum's eyes boring into the side of her head and was making idle conversation with me about the people she recognised in the crowd from her student politics days. And despite the awkwardness, I wanted this to be the world we were looking at. In the presence of all these people together, it seemed more hopeful than it had for a while. Everyone was chanting, singing, talking to each other. Some of the banners and signs were proper funny. Mum even waved the one Leanne had made her about a bit. I felt like there was this pulling. I don't believe in God, but some spirit of humanity, maybe. It was drawing us all closer together in that moment. It was like saying we had each other's backs. I could see my mum was feeling it deep down too. She started to soften when Amy was getting fed up, so Leanne had picked her up and put her on her shoulders. Amy was laughing and waving her sign about, laughing. I could see my mum thinking, maybe this whole situation wasn't so bad. Leanne had just sort of arrived in our lives and just accepted me and Amy and my past like it was all right. I've never felt that before, not even from my mum. Maybe she felt totally confused and even angry, but she couldn't say that I wasn't happy or that Leanne didn't treat us well, that she wasn't a good person. I put my arms around my mum and noticed how small she was. She tried not to smile at me, but I could see a wee twinkle in her eye. Then she nudged Leanne in the arm and started telling her about a poll tax march she'd gone on in 1980. Leanne holding on to Amy's legs tight but leaning towards my mum so she could hear, looking dead chuffed. I felt like winter was thawing. I looked up at Amy on Leanne's shoulders and she smiled at me. I kept looking up to all the other banners and signs. It reminded me of my old kaleidoscope I had when I was wee. The colours punctuated the searing blue above us. With my arms around my mum, standing close to Leanne and Amy, I wondered what we looked like from above. Maybe 4 women loving each other, all of us holding the past and future together as upward hands like birds ready for flight. If I forget everything else, I won't be greedy. I just want that moment fully intact. So when she's older, I can tell Amy, hope is not a season, it's a limitless sky.